Have you ever noticed how love, that thing everyone calls the pinnacle of life, is also what destroys us the most? They say love is beautiful, but no one talks about how much it hurts to let go of control, to surrender to vulnerability, and to watch your ego, that little tyrant, collapse in silence. The truth is, love isn't for the weak. It demands surrender, faith, courage. It's the leap into the abyss between who we are and who we could become. We live in an age of masks, relationships filtered through screens, emotions edited into stories, promises measured by likes. Everyone talks about inner freedom, but few have the courage to love with emotional authenticity. Because to love is to lose control, and losing control is everything the ego fears most. As Socrates once said, love is the desire to possess the good forever. But do we even know what the good is? Or have we confused it with the comfort of not taking risks? Love, my friend, is the greatest risk in existence, not because it hurts, but because it transforms. And what you're about to discover might change everything you think about loving, living, and being free. They say love is a rational choice, an act of will, but that's a comfortable lie. No one chooses the moment the heart decides to open. It just falls, like someone tripping over their own humanity. It's the metaphorical fall that Nietzsche and Socrates would understand well, the surrender to a vital force beyond logic. Trying to control love is like trying to catch the wind with your hands, and the cost of trying is the death of the ego. In daily life, this illusion of control shows up in subtle ways. Read messages left unanswered, fear of appearing vulnerable, the anxiety of being the one who cares less. We negotiate affection like a chess game, believing love is strategy, not surrender. But love, as Seneca said, does not submit to reason. It is the fire that devours the borders of prudence. The ignorance lies in thinking love can be managed like an emotional spreadsheet. The result? Lukewarm relationships, cold, too safe, and therefore lifeless. Socrates would ask, what good is love if fear is the driver? The philosophical solution begins with detachment, allowing yourself to fall without knowing what's coming. Because true freedom is born when we let go of the reins. When the ego dies, the heart begins to see. To love is to accept uncertainty as a teacher. It is the risk of life pulsing within us. And you? Have you ever truly allowed yourself to fall? The ego is a general who hates losing control. It craves predictability, guarantees certainty. But love is the territory of uncertainty. It's the battlefield where control dissolves and surrender becomes the only way to survive. When we fall in love, the ego panics because love is its symbolic death, and the ego fears death more than anything. Look around. How many people give up on a relationship before it even starts? How many avoid surrender just out of fear of getting hurt? That's the ego dressed up as caution, self-care, or I'm not ready to get involved right now. Deep down, it's fear. Fear of vulnerability. Fear of losing that strong image we built for ourselves. Nietzsche would say love is the ultimate test of the free spirit. He who cannot lose himself will never find himself. And Socrates, in his provocative way, would ask, what's more dangerous, to love and suffer, or to never love and wither away? The ignorance here is mistaking protection for prison. The result? A heart sealed in armor, a fortress without life. When the ego defends too much, it kills what it was trying to protect. Liberation comes when we accept the collapse of control, when we understand that the death of the ego is not the end, but the rebirth of awareness. That's where true self-knowledge begins, when we stop pretending we're safe. To love is an act of courage. It's the faith to walk in the dark, trusting that life, this vital current, knows more than our vanity does. And you, what is your ego still trying to control in love? Answer in the comments. Since childhood, we've been taught that showing weakness is dangerous, that being strong means hiding what you feel. But Socrates taught the opposite. Know thyself. And to know yourself is to recognize your own fragility. Vulnerability, far from being weakness, is the doorway to authenticity. Without it, love has no place to live. Think of social media, perfect showcases of rehearsed happiness. There, love is performance and emotion is a filter. No one wants to seem insecure, rejected, or too into it. Everyone pretends to be balanced, but balance without emotion is just numbness. That's the irony of this century, so afraid to be exposed that we've forgotten how to feel. The ignorance lies in believing that being vulnerable means losing power. The result is a life of masks, an emotional theater that turns relationships into contracts. But true power is born when we dare to be seen as we really are. Vulnerability is the most radical act of inner freedom, because only those who are unafraid of being wounded can love fully. Nietzsche once said, "Everything deep loves a mask." And perhaps he was right, but the mask should serve revelation, not disguise. What the philosopher meant is that even courage needs subtlety and truth, a touch of compassion. When we are vulnerable, love becomes a space for connection, not defense. And that connection in itself is a form of transcendence. And do you have the courage to be seen in your truth, without filters? Love is a small apocalypse. It destroys everything artificial, every bit of control disguised as safety. When we truly love, the ego screams because it senses it's losing the throne. Love is the great equalizer of existence. It brings the rich and the poor, the skeptic and the mystic, to their knees before uncertainty. In the modern world, the ego is the new god. It feeds on likes, approval, and symbolic victories. It lives on comparison, the happiest marriage, the most desired body, the purest spirituality. But behind all this striving is the fear of not being enough, and that fear is what keeps love from blooming. When the ego dies, the self breathes. It is the moment when we stop loving to possess and start loving to understand. Socrates would say, "The unexamined life is not worth living," and perhaps neither is the unexamined love. Ignorance is thinking that love should affirm us. The consequence? It breaks us. Not out of cruelty, but as a lesson. Love is the teacher that dismantles the false to reveal the essential. The Socratic solution is in the questioning, who am I without my pride, my defenses, my fear of loss? When that question echoes, the true self is born. To love is to die a little every day and be reborn more true. And you, what part of you needs to die for love to truly live? What if love is the greatest leap into the unknown a human being can take? Not the blind leap of passion, but a lucid surrender, one that knows the risk and still chooses to jump. To love is the most radical act of trust in life. It's to surrender to impermanence, to the vital flow, without a map, without promises, without guarantees. We're obsessed with certainty. We want love that lasts, marriages that never fail, emotions that never change. But the truth, the kind Socrates would delight in revealing, is that permanence is an illusion invented by fear. Nothing in human nature is fixed. Everything flows, everything transforms. Nietzsche would call this the eternal return. Love is born, dies, and is reborn within us endlessly. The problem is that the ego demands control. It doesn't want to love, it wants to possess. It craves security, not connection. That's why love is its death and its salvation. When we love unconditionally, we dissolve the boundary between self and other. That's the beginning of transcendence, where individuality opens to union. The unexamined life is not worth living, said Socrates. But here, the examination runs deeper. Unlived love isn't worth feeling. Love is not a theory. It's a spiritual practice. It's compassion in motion, courage in raw flesh. Yes, to love is to have faith. Faith in uncertainty, faith in transformation, faith that life, unpredictable as it may be, knows what it's doing. But what if everything you've called love has just been fear in disguise? What if you've never truly surrendered? What if true love is born only when you stop trying to earn it? To love is to die to control and be reborn into truth. And you? Have you ever had the courage to love without expecting anything in return? To love is to see yourself, sometimes for the first time. The other becomes a mirror, reflecting everything we hide from ourselves: insecurities, fears, desires, vanity, wounds. It's not the other who hurts us, it's ourselves, seeing our true reflection without the ego's mask. And yes, it stings, because love is the most honest mirror we'll ever face. In daily life, this shows up in small moments. That criticism that hurts more than it should, the jealousy that exposes fear of loss, the neediness that reveals a lack of self-love. How often do we mistake love for dependence or attachment for connection? True love, Aristotle said, is to will the good of the other for their own sake. But how many of us truly love without expecting anything in return? Ignorance lies in believing that love exists to complete us. The result is a life spent chasing halves, while ignoring the wholeness that already lives within us. Socrates would ask, how can anyone truly love if they do not know themselves? The philosophical solution lies in awareness. To love becomes an exercise in inner observation. Every emotion, fear, desire, anger, becomes an invitation to clarity. This is where deep self-knowledge begins, where love is no longer a battlefield, but a spiritual path. After all, love doesn't save us from suffering. It reveals it so that we may be set free. And you? Have you realized what love has been trying to teach you about yourself? Leave your answer in the comments. Some say love is a trap, others say love sets you free. But the truth lies in the tension between both. Real love is the marriage between freedom and union, a paradox that confuses the ego and enlightens the soul. Because love is not possession, it is presence, not dominance but flow, not prison but continuous choice. In today's world, we confuse commitment with confinement. We seek relationships like we seek contracts, with clauses, guarantees, and boundaries. Fidelity has become synonymous with control when it should mean respect. And respect, as Socrates taught, is the highest form of love because it sees the other as free. Ignorance lies in thinking love needs chains to endure. The result is the suffocation of individuality, the silent death of emotional authenticity. When we try to hold on to the other, it's fear that grips, not love. And fear, as Epictetus taught, turns the heart into a prison. The philosophical solution is trust. To love is to accept impermanence and still choose to stay. It is active detachment. The I choose you today, knowing tomorrow is uncertain. It's living faith, the courage to give yourself with no guarantees. Nietzsche called this amor fati, the love of fate. To love another is to accept that they will change, grow, even leave if they must. It is to love without clinging, to respect without demanding, to be without possessing. And maybe, in the end, the truest marriage isn't between two people, but between love and freedom. And you, can you truly love someone without trying to control them? Everyone wants love, but few are willing to accept the pain that comes with it. We live running from suffering as if it were failure, when in truth it's what transforms us. To love is to accept the risk of loss, the wound of surrender, the silence of absence. It's the courage to stand naked before uncertainty and still say, I choose to stay. In modern life, we avoid discomfort at all costs. We block those who confront us, silence those who displease us, and replace relationships with digital distractions. But the very pain we avoid is the same pain that could set us free. As Socrates once said, what is not faced is repeated. Ignorance lies in wanting love without suffering. The consequence? Shallow relationships, comfortable but barren. Pain is the fire of transformation, and without fire, nothing is purified. Nietzsche saw in this a divine force. What does not destroy me makes me stronger. The philosophical solution is acceptance. To suffer consciously is wisdom. It's to look at the wound and see the hidden lesson. It's to understand that compassion is born from shared pain, and that acceptance is the highest form of inner freedom. Love is not the opposite of pain. It is its meaning, because every sincere tear is a step toward truth. And you? Do you have the courage to suffer with purpose? Or are you still running from the pain that could heal you? We live in an era of programmed emotion. We laugh when the algorithm tells us to, love when it's convenient, and cry only when no one is watching. But true love demands the opposite, brutal transparency. To be emotionally authentic is an act of rebellion in a world addicted to appearances. In everyday life, we see this emotional counterfeit all the time. Couples who live for photos, not dialogue. People who post love on social media but are afraid to make eye contact. Society has turned love into a display case and vulnerability into weakness. Socrates would ask, how can there be truth where there is disguise? Ignorance lies in believing that hiding emotions is a sign of strength. The result is distance, relationships that seem stable on the outside but are empty within. Nietzsche would call this the morality of the weak, when fear of rejection replaces the courage to speak truth. The philosophical solution is simple, but demands bravery, radical honesty. To be authentic is to accept that love isn't always pretty, that desire shifts, that emotions fluctuate. The spirituality of love is born from accepting impermanence, realizing that truth matters more than appearances. Authenticity is the way back to essence, to the human nature the ego tries to hide. To love is to expose yourself, to let the heart breathe without makeup. And you, are you living what you feel, or just playing the role others expect of you? Answer in the comments. At the end of every search, love brings us back to the beginning. We discover it was never about the other, nor about ourselves, but about the whole that lives between the two. To love is to remember we are part of the same vital flow. Separation is just an illusion born of fear. And in that moment, love becomes spirituality, not in the religious sense, but in the awareness of unity with life itself. In a fast-paced world, we've forgotten this dimension. We've reduced love to chemistry, exchange, contract. But it is much more. It is what remains when all explanations fall away. It is the silence after thought, the peace after struggle. As Plato once said, in love, the soul remembers what it already knows. Ignorance lies in mistaking love for the desire to possess. The result is the eternal suffering of separation. But when we surrender completely, love stops being a relationship and becomes a state of being. It's no longer, I love you, but I am love. That is the moment when the ego fully dies and consciousness expands. The philosophical solution, then, is final detachment, total surrender to impermanence, to the fluidity of life. When we stop trying to hold love, love holds us. When we stop searching outward, we discover it within. And perhaps that's the secret Socrates and Nietzsche would whisper together. Love is the mirror in which the universe contemplates itself. In the end, everything we've said about ego, vulnerability, control, pain, and surrender points to one single truth. To love is the ultimate exercise in being human. Love is not a promise of happiness, it's an invitation to awareness. It calls us to die to what is small and be reborn into what is real. It's not the opposite of fear, but the sacred use of it, the courage to walk forward even while trembling. Nietzsche saw love as the fire of transformation, Socrates as the call to self-knowledge. And perhaps both were reminding us that love is the way through which the self becomes whole. To love is to live by faith, faith in life, in impermanence, in the other, and above all, in oneself. It's to accept the risk of loss, because only those who truly surrender can finally find themselves. Love is the mirror in which the soul examines itself, and the courage to truly look, to really see, is the beginning of all inner freedom. If this reflection stirred something within you, write in the comments, "Love is my conscious risk." Subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who still believes love is about safety. Because maybe what they need to hear today is that love is, in truth, the greatest leap of faith. Because love is not the end of the journey. It is the path itself, and the next step may reveal something even deeper.